warmed up.
It's nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
it's great.
So 3, 2, 1. Welcome to CryptoGs. We are here in Dubai in the Ars DAO Fest, and I have very special guests today. They're actually quite popular right now these days with what everything happening in the crypto world. We need to keep our tokens safe. So we have our good friend from Ledger. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here
Thanks for having
in
us.
CryptoGs. So can you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what do you do for Ledger?
My name's Eugene Hu. I lead global brand partnerships for Ledger.
My name is Mo, and I head community and education, which means that I get to work with different people on the team to make sure that we have the tools and the content for people to be able to safely onboard onto the space. So it's kind of at the intersection of education, but also culture. And Eugene will be able to speak more to that.
Amazing, guys. So yeah, we are right now at the beginning of 2023. We had a very challenging last year as people were not using the right wallet, let's call it like that. I remember from myself, I've been 7 years in crypto, and I remember my first Ledger that I had, it was about 5 years ago. But a lot of change since Ledger opened. I think so the more challenging is obviously the education, get people to feel comfortable about something that takes probably a little bit longer to learn, but then it's more safe, right? So like, for example, with internet banking, when we start 10, 20 years ago, it was easy. And then when we got the second factor authentication, everybody was freaking out.
Yes.
So tell us, what are the 3 main difficult points about being a cold storage self-custody provider?
That's a great question. I think, when you're actually building the infrastructure to empower individuals to be able to self-custody their assets, there are a variety of different challenges that you face. First of all, obviously building the technology itself. But beyond that, it's not only about what Ledger does in terms of like the core value proposition of Ledger, which is obviously to generate keys in an offline environment and to secure those keys. You have to start building the second thing, which is the layer and the services on top of it. So how to interact with different blockchains, how to interact with different blockchains safely. What are the informations that you need in order to be able to make the right decision at the moment of the transaction? So infrastructure and then user experience and information. This is the second challenge that we're currently tackling. So it's not only about the security of the keys, it's about what you can do with those keys and how you can interact with the blockchain safely. And then I would say the third one is education, is even beyond all of that. So infrastructure, information. And then the third one is educating people on how to use this technology in a way that would empower them to safely navigate the Web3 space. And when it comes to education, we're doing a lot. We build out Ledger Academy, which is our educational bedrock. We're also building out a gamified educational platforms such as Ledger Quest, gamified educational experiences in the metaverse. So trying to tackle these 3 different pillars at once. And I think, we're still, progressing within those like 3 different pillars and building them out. But it's great because it's also something that we are doing with the community. So yeah, that would be the main challenges.
Just to touch on that, I think for me, myself, the way my team works, one of the challenges that I deal with is making sure that we connect with both Web3 native people and people that are not native to Web3, right?
Yeah.
And that comes down to, like Mo said, education. And I think what's most interesting there is that, education is power, education is knowledge, but at the end of the day, you need to make it easy to understand.
Yeah.
I think the way that Web3 has started is by making it very challenging for newcomers to enter the space. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot, even among Web3 natives, there's misconceptions, right? And that's what leads to scams. That's what leads to people making mistakes, human error. And that's what we're trying to solve and make sure people understand the importance of, all the principles that we believe in: self-custody, digital freedom, financial freedom, digital solvency, creative custody. These are all things that Ledger stands behind, and we really hope to be able to connect with, all demographics about that.
Awesome, guys. And you, obviously, last year you had a very good year in terms of sales and obviously awareness, and people understood that they need something that they can trust in. But if you could upgrade or change something, one thing in the blockchain, what will be in the blockchain world, in the Web3? What would you change if you could change something right now?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I really wish we could change some of the vernacular that we use in Web3. I think NFTs has, there's such a stigma behind it now. When people hear NFTs, people are at like dinner parties, at conversations like, oh, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. But why? They say that because they think of scams. They think of money they've lost. There's like negative emotion and feelings tied to that. I wish people maybe start using the term digital collectibles, or maybe we just need a rebrand of what those terms are. When we say mint, like people like us get it, but when I speak to like my mother, my father, they're like, "What are you talking about? Mint? That's an herb, So we really need to find ways to make Web3 more simple for people to talk about and understand.
Okay, you are actually doing a lot of work. I just was downstairs looking at the booth, and I got this bad boy, the Ledger Nano Difference by Gary. But is there anything that you can give away to the community right now that you're going to launch very soon? What is coming up for Ledger this year?
I have it right here in my pocket.
Okay,
Can I show it to you?
Yeah, you're allowed to show it.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
But we're not going to show it to anyone else, right?
Okay.
So this is Ledger Stacks.
Okay. Oh,
this is our new product. I don't know if the camera can see it.
Let me give it to them. Can I hold it?
Of course, please.
Smell nice.
Smell. The idea with Stacks is that obviously Ledger device security remains the same. So whether it be the Stacks or the Nano, they're both as secure. The thing that we are facing in terms of the challenges is the user experience and how we can make it more seamless for new people to onboard onto the space. Today, coming back to the 3 challenges that we were talking about earlier, you have the security of the keys. This is the same across all Ledger devices. But then you have that second component, which is the information that you get when you're transacting on chain, and how you are able to get enough information for you to make the right decision and not fall into the different pitfalls. And this is where Stacks does a much better job. It is meant to provide you with a screen for you to be able to verify the smart contract data. And beyond that, we are working with the Ledger extension and Ledger Live on different plugins to translate the smart contract numbers into a language that you can understand. So it's a much easier product to use. It's more secure because you're able to get the information that you need. But beyond that, it's cool. You can upload your NFTs. You can customize the name of the device. And they're stackable, so you can stack them on top of one another. And the last thing about this product that is very unique and impressive is that it's designed by the co-creator of the iPhone and the iPod, Tony Fadell. So the whole thought that was put into this product is coming from a vision of creating hardwares that impact the lives of millions of people around the world. And we hope that this product will be able to onboard a variety of different cohorts onto the space in the future.
It's amazing. Is it out there right now or not yet?
No, it still hasn't been shipped yet.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It looks a little bit like when I thought it was like a tiny Kindle.
Yes, it's the same screen as the Kindle. It's what we call an e-ink screen.
I love it. I really like it.
It's a curved e-ink screen, right? And then people might not even know, but this NFT on this screen right now, it's active even though this device is turned off. So right now, when the curved spine is black, that means it's powered off. But because of the e-ink technology, your NFT or whatever image you decide to represent your wallet or yourself, this is still active and showing to everyone.
Meaning that it does not consume any battery, so it has a long battery life.
And then, just for me, this reminds me of when iPod streamlined digital music.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
If you remember, there was the Roku, the Zoom, Sony MP3 players, so many clunky MP3 players that don't exist today.
No.
Right? And what Apple did was created this device that was beautiful to use, that people wanted to use, and it streamlined digital music to the point where now, it was a point where people didn't want to pay for MP3s, and then they started paying for MP3s.
Yeah.
People didn't think they would stream music, and now everyone streams music. They're like, oh, I'm never going to pay for that. Yeah, you're paying for that now.
Yeah.
And the same way that we think that our device is going to streamline digital assets.
I love the concept. It's just making me go back in time to the iPod, like the U2 iPod. I used to have it that saved for 3 years to buy it finally. and the Kindle and iPhone. It's amazing what you're doing. Like, is that's what we need in crypto right now, because the adoption is there, but it's not quite there yet. So when decrease adoption of cryptocurrencies, how does Ledger plan to evolve all the service that you have to meet the changing needs to the clients? Everybody's changing so fast. Then we have the custodial wallet, no custodial wallets, and also we have an increasing amount of MetaMask and Trust Wallet. But how you plan to meet all these requirements of, we have very good services right now, the people getting more savvy, but then the people that's joining Web3 and crypto, they have to learn even more now. So how you tackling that?
I'll touch on that. For me, what I think brands like Apple, Nike, Red Bull, what they did very well was they were able to do energy marketing or have a finger on the pulse of youth culture.
Yeah.
And basically they're able to translate what their product is by communicating to a completely new demographic in an authentic way. And that's why I think Ledger wins, and that's how I think we succeed, is because we know how to do cultural marketing. I think last year one of the biggest moments in Web3 was when the rapper Gunna wore a ledger to Met Gala, an iced out ledger, full of diamonds on a chain. It was covered on Vogue, Hypebeast. It was everywhere. It's still up on his Instagram today. I think it's over 1 million likes. It's all about visibility. And at the time, we're communicating our product to a demographic that may not know what Web3 is. They may not know what a token is. But at the end of the day, they know what Gunna is, who Gunna is, and they want to know more about why he's wearing this. Right? We want to find moments that can break the internet.
I think at the end of the day, marketing and education, culture and marketing and education are the two pillars of the brand, and they work at the top of the funnel. It means that a lot more people can get interested in the product and then the core value proposition that's behind that product, which is basically security and self-custody. But then to answer your question more specifically, like the different services and all of the things that will be coming in together around that product, it's all about creating an ecosystem and not just a product. And to answer your question, we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves. We're collaborating with a lot of different stakeholders in the ecosystem. With Ledger Live, you can basically use our developer portal and code your application for it to be compatible with Ledger Live, which means that through Ledger Live and through one device, you'll be able to have a key that gives you access to the whole world of Web3. And by collaborating with different chains, with different protocols, but also with different application developers, we are able to provide that secure gateway into a world of different applications. So it's about a step-by-step progress of collaboration, and also about building the brand and building the culture and attracting the new entrants, providing them with the experience that would open up to them a secure gateway into multiple different services. So that's really the vision.
Okay.
Mo, I think you should actually talk about what you specifically do in the space to do that, right? You should talk about Ledger Academy, Ledger Quest.
Yeah, I mean, the step after that is, if you're just getting into the space and you don't know much about it, you also need to get educated, and you need a little bit of an educational experience that is more immersive than what's available to you. So to Eugene's point, we're doing, Ledger Academy is our educational bedrock. On the Academy, you have a variety of different, educational content, from tutorials, editorial content, podcast, videos. But then what we're doing today with Ledger Quest is basically bridging that Web 2 learning experience into a Web 3 learning experience. Because if you think about it, we're using Web 2 mediums in order to educate people about Web 3. Don't get me wrong, I host a podcast as well. I love Web 2 mediums. But then if you want to actually enable people to experience Web 3 while they learn about it, you need educational experiences that are gamified. So we launched Ledger Quest, which is an ability for you to learn from a podcast like ours. Then maybe after that podcast, we can do a quest about that podcast, which means that all the users that listen to this podcast will be able to go and test their knowledge and gain a proof of knowledge NFT. That NFT is an on-chain certification. It is non-transferable. It doesn't have any financial value. Its function is to prove knowledge. Its form could be anything. It could be an artwork, a metaverse wearable, a collectible. So you're actually bridging education with entertainment and an on-chain experience. And beyond that, you can start saying that you will have different perks associated with this NFT. So say, hey, you learned about this. Now you can prove it. maybe you can access a free device or a custom device, or maybe you can go to this event because you learned about it. So you can start doing Web3 CRM and token gating experiences based on the knowledge of your different community members.
To me, what's dope about this is that Ledger Quest can be catered to any community that wants to do it. So, you know, if you're Cool Cats or World of Women who's worked with us, you can cater it to your community. Talk about the values you care about. Talk about the terms that you want to like your community to focus and learn. And then that also translates to corporations, to brands, to different chains. It doesn't just have to be Ethereum. It could be Solana. It could be Tezos, et cetera, et cetera. All these projects, all these brands can reach out to their current demographic and new demographics by education.
Okay. So Ledger Education, Ledger Quest, you're basically making the whole industry through your products more entertaining, and also going through community that already are educating the community, but at the same time connecting with your products to make it fun to use. So that the gamification is very important, correct?
Absolutely. And actually, we're also trying to provide a layer on top of which the communities can build their own curriculums. So it's not only focused about Ledger or focused about self-custody. We believe that education is the key to a decentralized Web3. The more people become educated, the more they feel empowered, the more they are able to take on this journey more confidently. So we want to provide that tech layer for, if you want to build your own quest for your community, you can come and build your own quest, and Ledger Quest will help you set it up. And you do it with your own educational program. So that's kind of the idea behind it. We want education to become something that empowers, at scale.
You know that you are actually just answered my next question, because I was going to say, what does Ledger differentiate itself from the other providers in the market apart from being the largest provider? So that's the answer, right? So
it's culture and education. But Eugene can speak a little bit more to culture, and I think there's a few things this year that he can probably hint at.
Oh man, I gotta think about what I can say. But for me, the best way to speak to a new community that we might not be in tune with is by being authentic.
Okay.
And the way to be authentic, in my opinion, is by working with best in class in that space. So if I work with if I want to talk with a fashion brand, I'm going to speak to people like Nike, LVMH. If I talk to people in F&B, food and beverage, I want to talk to Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk to these partners who I believe are leaders in their industry, but are genuinely passionate in Web3, so we can connect on both our demographics and find the synergies.
Amazing, like crypto and Web3 podcast. So, guys, and there's a very let's say serious question, because this is the core of your whole company. So, as you are the world's largest cold storage self-custody provider, how does Ledger ensure the security and integrity of its customer digital assets to ensure there's no data breaches to any place? Obviously, it's a very deep question, and obviously, but how do you ensure we don't want the specific, but
So the end of the day, it's about the technology itself, right? Like blockchains can be breached. What we are doing with Ledger is that we are providing you with the ability to secure your blockchain accounts. So for the people that are listening to us and might not understand exactly how that works, a blockchain works like a 24/7 open bank in which you can create an account without necessarily having to physically prove your identity. So you can use any wallet to create an account on the blockchain. Any account on the blockchain generates a set of public keys and private keys. The public key is your address on the blockchain. You use it in order to share it with anyone that you want to be receiving value from, whereas your private key is the key to the value on this account. So at the end of the day, what Ledger does is that it enables you to secure your private key in an offline environment. Because if you secure your private key on an internet-connected device, although most of these internet-connected solutions are very easy to use, all it takes is clicking on a malicious link, and your internet-connected device can have a malware installed on it, and it can extract your keys. So what Ledger is doing is that it's giving you the ability for you to be hack-proof. It will protect you from any hack. However, Ledger doesn't protect you from a mistake. So if you end up signing a malicious transaction, or if you give away your recovery phrase, the idea is that at the end of the day, you will also be giving access to your assets away. So what we're trying to do with education, what we're trying to do with the user experience in order to provide you with information, again, to those 3 points, infrastructure, information, and education, providing the information during the user experience for you to be able to make the right decision. So breaching a blockchain is very, very hard. Then when it comes to cybersecurity breaches and other stuff like that, at the end of the day, these are things that companies can face in different situations, and building out infrastructure in order to protect the data from a cybersecurity standpoint is also something that Ledger is very focusing on.
Amazing, guys. So before asking the last question from Ledger Point, what about you guys? How long you been in crypto? Because this crypto years, so it's normally people that have been a couple of years in crypto and been survive a couple of bear market life. How long you been in crypto mode?
I have been in crypto since 2017. So 2018, but I didn't work in crypto back then. I was just someone who's curious about the space, and started my journey then, and been working at Ledger for 2.5 years now, although it feels like 25 years.
25 years, and last year was 100 years.
Yeah, things go by very fast in the space, and a lot of things happen on a weekly basis. So the number of events that you face in 2.5 years feels like 25 years in another space.
For me, I'm not a Web3 native.
Okay.
But I think that's what makes me good at my job.
Okay.
And that's how I deliver wins to Ledger. For me, I've been a trader.
Wow.
I worked in fashion as a buyer.
Amazing.
I worked in food and beverage doing special projects and brand partnerships. I've been an art advisor. Well, I still am an art advisor. I've done brand strategy.
Amazing.
And one of my missions while I was in food and beverage was working with a cafe concept called Boba Guys. You might know the drinks, boba, bubble tea, etc.
Yeah, it became really famous.
Yeah, but one of the missions I was tasked with was making boba or bubble tea as synonymous as cappuccinos or sushi. Basically, a food import that you don't think twice about. You don't even think that it's a food import. You just know that it exists, right?
Yeah.
And that's super challenging. It's like because for me during that time, people think about this drink and they're like, oh, it's a cheap sugary drink. It's it's nothing special. There's nothing good about it. Well, there's a lot of cafes doing boba in an elevated way. And then my mission was to do placements or do partnerships that would put boba on a map so people understood. So we worked with record labels like 88 Rising. We worked with fashion brands like Mesa Kinsey, Babe. And then basically I took all my networks from every single job that I've worked in and brought it to Ledger. And the reason why that works is because that's what Web3 should be, right? It's about opportunity in every sector. It's the wild, wild west, and everyone's trying to figure it out. So there's potential synergy with everyone.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. Thank you for helping the Web3 community through your non-Web3 community, which is good. And guys, because people know Ledger, so I've been a couple of events, but how big is the team? How big is the company right now? So some people that know, you just have this little thing here, and then they see them in the Web3 event. But how big it is? Is it big, small? 100?
I mean, when I joined the company 2.5 years ago, we were about 250, 300 employees.
Okay.
Now we're nearing 900 employees across the globe. So we're scaling in a variety of different ways. Obviously, Ledger is a hardware product, so you need a lot of people, especially when it comes to manufacturing, logistics.
Okay.
Everything related to that takes a lot of resources if you're going to be scaling, and then especially with stacks. And building out an inventory and all of that. So the idea is that we want to keep scaling while maintaining the quality standard of everything that we are doing, and getting people such as Eugene on board the team and helping us out also with the partnerships and the cultural side enables us to scale in a variety of different ways, going out and reaching out to communities that are actually curious about Web3 through different cultural vectors. So
let me say one thing about that. This doesn't work without leadership that believes in it.
Okay.
Because you need leadership that believes in cultural marketing. It's very hard to quantify the success of that marketing. It's either you see it and feel it and you believe it and it's winning for you, Otherwise, you don't, right? There's a lot of Web3 brands that don't
Don't
do this
believe-
type of marketing at all.
They don't want brand awareness. This one conversion.
Or they do it in an inauthentic way. Like
Yeah.
going back to Eugene's point, we've never bought naming rights of stadiums or Formula One companies or stuff like that. Not to say that it's not something that yields benefits. I'm just saying that there are a variety of different ways through which you could do marketing.
Yeah.
And since at the end of the day, we're not a software, even if we attract millions of people that know about Ledger, we have a supply issue where the level of devices that will be available will not be able to sustain that demand. So our abilities to tap into the communities that bring the value, the cultural value into the space, and to collaborate with them through cultural marketing, collaborations, custom devices, and having again those two pillars, culture and education, and the leadership that believes in doing education in an innovative way, but also doing cultural marketing in a way that this space isn't really used to, is key in that. And step by step, growing it as we go.
I may be wrong, but I don't think we've ever told a customer go buy crypto, go buy NFTs.
Okay.
What we believe in is if you are curious, if you're passionate about Web3, educate yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, that's how we grow the space.
Yeah.
That's how we all win. Whether you're native to Web3 or you know nothing about it, like just learn. I see people today like talk about how Web3 is a scam. Well, you say that, but I don't hear you say anything about a bank failure in US yesterday.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I never hear you say banks are a scam.
Yeah.
You just say Web3 is a scam because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I think that scares people.
Yeah.
And I think, when people feel challenged, they like to be lazy and not learn.
I know learning. That's
Yeah.
true.
Last thing I'll say is that, that's a saying that even we say internally, is that educated people will end up becoming Ledger customers. If people get educated about security and self-custody, we don't need to tell them to buy our products. We just need to give them the actual reality of the technology. And as they go on their journey, and obviously everyone needs to start at an exchange, and exchanges are super important in this space. But if you want to be tapping into like the different realms of Web3 gaming and NFTs and all of that, at some point you will want to take that ownership over your keys and go on and explore the world. And what we try to do is just give you the information and the knowledge for you to do it with confidence.
Amazing.
And security. Obviously.
Eugene, it has been amazing having you today in the podcast. I know that you have your booth downstairs, but the last question I have for you guys, like, where can people find Ledger on social media? Like, it's on the website. How often do you do Twitter Spaces? How they can find Ledger?
So Ledger is pretty present across social media. Obviously on Twitter, it's @Ledger. On Instagram, it's the same. We have Discord. It's called Ledger Open.
Okay.
TikTok. And in terms of like the Twitter Spaces and the educational programming happening on all of these different channels, we try to do it in a regular way.
Okay.
And then beyond that, Eugene can talk about the IRL component, but you can also find Ledger in real life twice a year. So
before we talk about that, I just want to say shout out to our social team, shout out to our communications team. They do a killer job. Our paid media team, I think that team works so hard to focus on brand awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Ledger has become the brand that it is today.
Yeah.
Because we're so conscious of like where we want to place ourselves.
Yeah.
And as far as, what Mo was just alluding to, we have two big moments every year. It's called Ledger Open.
Okay.
Our last one was in Paris. It was an incredible event. We had speakers like Verbal and Yoon from Ambush, Alexander Arnold, Champ Medici, Bryson, Betty from Deadfellas, et cetera, et cetera. And these events basically are our way of announcing new products, help educate people about what we're doing in this space, provide something experiential so they can like see and feel what the brand is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Would love to have you on the next Ledger Open. Maybe you can host a podcast.
When is it?
Eugene?
It's going to be in June. I can't talk about the location.
Okay.
But
I have to ask the boss, my
yeah.
wife. I think it'll be all right. Still.
It's going to be in the US. It's
Okay.
in June. I think it's going to be a really exciting one. If anyone that came to the last one in Paris can attest, it was like when the iPod was announced for the first time.
Amazing.
Right? People walked out of that keynote with our CEO, Pascal, our Chief Experience Officer, Ian Rogers, and Tony Fadell, who was the designer of the first iPhone.
Wow.
They left that keynote, feeling inspired and brave about what we're about to bring to the Web3 community.
Guys, I actually feel inspired just of listening to you two. I can imagine having the whole community ledger in the same location, announcing new products, educating the new people that are jumping into crypto. So yeah, Crypto G's is going to be there, guys. So if you're going to be in US, I don't know, West, East, we're going to be there. It's the same distance from here. So it doesn't matter. But Eugene, thank you so much for coming to the show. Is anything that you want to add before we go back to the event?
I mean, we're thrilled to be here. Dubai is such an interesting place, and the Middle East is really set up for Web3. We met so many different interesting people, and we are very touched by the warm welcome that we received. So I just want to thank everyone here, and really, we'll be coming back more often because we really do see the value in supporting the different communities that are out here. And thanks again for having us on your podcast.
Shukran. Thank you so much.
Shukran.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to all the Crypto G's. And I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Picture.